take it away.
Michelle and Michael, welcome to our studios, Mheshimiwa. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Right, we're talking to now Kenya presidential candidate Martha Karua, who today declared her wealth. Mheshimiwa, you are running for the top seat in the country, and today you declared to Kenyans that this is what I am worth. What message were you sending?
One, I was respecting the letter and spirit of the Constitution, which intended that wealth declaration by public officers be public. Therefore, people will be able to audit what you are worth when you entered office and when you leave office. And that way they'll be quick to notice if there is unusual increase in your net worth. So I was fulfilling the letter and spirit of the Constitution, and in furtherance of upholding issues of ethical ways and integrity, and I challenged my competition to do the same. And if any member of the public thinks that whatever is declared is beyond one's earnings or known businesses, then we ought to be able as leaders to answer how we acquired the wealth.
Of course, you've just mentioned that you challenged your competitors.
Yes.
To do the same.
Yeah.
Supposing they don't follow suit
It's
and
up to the
declare
public.
the wealth, what does this then, what should the public make of them? What should the electorate make of them?
You remember, the public has been very unhappy in the manner in which Parliament, of which I belonged, mutilated the integrity law. The integrity law originally had clauses making the wealth declaration public. So the public, this self-declaration today by me is an indication to the public. You can make us live the spirit and the letter of the Constitution, and you can demand that anybody vying for office, and especially for the top office in this country, should declare their wealth. And then those who fail to declare, then the public will make its own conclusion.
Right.
If you have acquired whatever you have honestly, you will have no problem bearing it all to the public. But if your pockets are bulging and you're not able to say or even to remember how you came by the wealth, it becomes a little bit difficult. So I was just setting the bar a little higher. Yeah.
And set the bar you did. Now, Mheshimiwa, you've been traversing the counties in very aggressive campaigns, but the opinion polls, case in point, those released on Friday, suggest differently. And let me just take you back to the polls that indicate that were elections to be held today, then only 0.3% of the electorate would vote for you as president. What's your take on this?
I think if those pollsters had their way, they would exit me. If you see they've been exiting me from the polls, you come from 8 to 5 to 3 to 0.3, next time I won't be in the polls, according to them. They're telling me the more you do it, the less you get. Because I believe the pollsters today, because there are two groups that give us polls with a lot of frequency. I believe that those polls are sponsored by the competition, and there are two groups, I believe, who sponsor polls. And when you look at the polling, the results, you can know which group. And they normally happen when there is an event that is likely to go against any one of the groups. It's like a massage. Never mind, you're still the person. As soon as I started challenging the pollsters, tell us who funded you. I've seen one of them saying they have funded the polls themselves. That answer is laughable. Poll research companies depend on the money they are given by those who request for the research to thrive. So they cannot kid anyone that they're paying for the polls. That's as good as no answer.
So you're dismissing the polls. What is the reality on the ground? What vibe are you getting on the ground, seeing that you're a female presidential candidate in a male-dominated arena? You've traversed at least 45 counties out of the 47. What vibe are you getting on the grassroots level?
Nothing but encouragement. That's what keeps me going. Even in this very city of Nairobi, nothing but encouragement. And I'm saying, yes, I'm female, and I've always been female. I've been in politics for 20 years. I get elected. I market my policies and I get elected, and that's what I'm doing now. And I have great expectations that in spite of the spirited attempt by pollsters to condition the Kenyan public that elections will only favor those who have coalesced before elections, and that our politics is dominated by tribal chiefs. I am working hard, and I'm calling on all Kenyans of goodwill who believe in our policies to work hard, to join us in working hard. We disprove all this.
Let me take you back to an incident in Korogosho last week, Mheshimiwa, where you encountered rowdy youth, and yet these very same youth are the ones that you enjoy great support from. I know you've got an active Twitter and Facebook account where you liaise with the youth quite frequently, and I know you've been engaged in a number of youth engagements. You know, you've engaged with them across the country. What do you make of this incident, and what message would you like to send to the youth regarding the same?
The incident was understandable. We campaigned in 2 spots in Korogosho successfully. Then as I was leaving, the youth stopped us, became rowdy, demanding for money. The reason is simple. The politicians who are going to them daily are dishing out cash. So if I'm leaving without giving them cash, it is a shock. And they know that when they block the vehicles, the politicians give in to the demands. I got out of my vehicle, I confronted them and told them that pushing people to give them money will not always work. And I explained them that we will not give anything, and that we had gone there to campaign for their votes, not to buy the votes. And they let me get back to my car. A few still were rowdy and wouldn't let the cars behind us move. But remember, they had already escorted me to my car. So I'm actually happy that they listened to me, gave me the respect. I got back to my car. I see the acts of the youth as the acts of desperation. These are people who are hungry, who do not know where the next meal is coming from. These are youths who are jobless. And it is a message to us as leaders that we are pushing a significant number of Kenyans to desperation. And this will ultimately affect all of us. Remember, part of Agenda 4, when we negotiated the coalition government before His Excellency Kofi Annan, was that we must deal with the rising poverty. There must be measures to create jobs for the youth. That has been ignored by the coalition government, and instead, the gap between the rich and the poor has continued to increase. And I'm saying this is a situation we have to tackle now.
Let's talk about coalitions, Mheshimiwa. You have chosen to go it alone. You've been criticized in some circles as a lone ranger. What has informed your decision not to be part of any alliance?
I must first say that I'm disappointed that the media has given attention only to coalitions, as though coalitions were the norm. Coalitions are an oddity, especially if they are before elections. The world over, parties go to elections on their own. And Martha Karua is not alone. Martha Karua is a leader of a party called NAK Kenya, a party that has thousands of followers. So far at the office of the registrars, we have over 100,000 members. And NAK Kenya is the only party that has recruited its members one by one. We are not one of those parties that are picking either the voters' roll or other records and forcefully registering members. We have a lot of supporters countrywide, and therefore it is a fallacy to say that I'm alone. I'm working with people in the party. I've worked in government, led ministries successfully. That cannot be said that I work alone. I'm elected overwhelmingly, have been elected 4 times in Geshogo overwhelmingly. Those are not qualifications of a lone ranger. So that is a tag the competition, and unwittingly aided by the media, is trying to create. I want to say this. NAK Kenya is the only party that has remained true to its cause. No political party, none not even in Kenya, is formed with the objective of looking for parties to become its members. Political parties are formed to look for individuals with like mind. We are remaining true to our cause, looking for members and supporters who support our policies. We are going to the ballot that way, and should we need to form a coalition with anyone, then we'll look at it after crossing the ballot.
Right. When are you likely to announce your running mate, Mheshimiwa? A lot of people interested in when exactly you will name the person that will stand by you and who this person is likely to be. What did you consider, what have you been considering in your choice of running mate?
I'll be considering a person who supports, who believes in the same ideals, who is passionate, who is committed to this country as I am, and who believes in the ideals of my party of choice, NARC Kenya. And all I'm waiting for today, I got my nomination certificate from my party of choice, for which I'm very grateful. All that remains is consultations with the executive of NARC Kenya, the national executive, so that I disclose to them the choices and we consult so that it's not just a personal issue. This campaign is a party campaign as well as it's my campaign. I'm sponsored by NARC Kenya. I owe it to them to consult with them before going public. That's all that I'm waiting for. And it will be soon. Remember, I can't present my nomination papers without a running mate.
And just before we wind up, Mheshimiwa, of course, a campaign is an expensive affair. How are you coping? You traversed at least 45 counties. How are you coping? You've previously gone on record as saying that yours is a people-funded campaign, but how are you coping?
Absolutely.
So far?
All the monies we have used and are using so far are contributed by our supporters, our followers, our friends. And I can say, without batting an eyelid, we're the most cost-effective campaign. And when we disclose our expenses, people will see that. Our total expenses are the logistics, the travel and accommodation expenses, and incidentals. We do not dish out money. We do not ferry people to come to our meetings. We do meet the people to us where people are informed we are coming, and they come out voluntarily. And we get a good number. We get crowds, and therefore our campaign is cost effective, an indicator that once in government we're going to run a very cost effective government, and where the bulk of the funds will go to serving the people, not serving those in power.
You are arguably the leading female presidential candidate in the race to State House. What would a Martha Karua presidency offer Kenyans?
I would say leading presidential candidate in many ways, not just as a female, but of the pack, if you consider issues. And a Martha Karua presidency, I will fight corruption and impunity. I will respect the Constitution and our laws. And by fighting corruption and impunity, we will release the much needed funds to serving the people. We're looking forward to giving free primary and secondary education to all the Kenyan children, to enable the children of the poor and the rich alike to get quality education. We are planning for universal health care. All public facilities, health facilities will be open to Kenyans to get medical services. That doesn't mean there will not be private hospitals. Those who can afford and who choose can go there. But those who rely on public services will have them. A Martha Karua presidency will prioritize maintenance. And I'm underlining maintenance because it's a word forgotten by this government. Maintenance of infrastructure, expansion, and also being cost effective. And when we talk of infrastructure, we will be talking of everything from our roads, to air travel, to railways, to ICT, to electricity, and all those things.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa.
Much more. And security will be prioritized.
All right.
A Martha Karua government will return discipline to this country. In other words, rule of law.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa, for your time this evening. Good luck in the race to State House. And I must say, you're looking quite lovely this evening.
Thank you. And you too. Brilliant, as always.
Thank you. That's we've been talking to NAP Kenya presidential candidate Martha Karua. Back to you, Michelle and Michael Njenga in studio.